Thank you,
Sure.
Dr. Dada. Thank you. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate in this conference. Can you see the slides I just shared?
Yes.
Can you see the slides, my slides,
Yes.
which I have
Yes,
just shared?
yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So my my topic is from control to empowerment, transformation, leadership, and autonomy in digital work environments, focusing on the track of leading and managing people within this digital innovation and digital and business transformation because of the digitization. I try to see how this impacts leadership and people management. So this is the topic which I focus on. So regarding introducing to the topic, we see that as Professor Gaur mentioned, there is a digital shift nowadays where this digital work environment have transformed any form of organizational leadership style, mode, compelling more issues, challenging issues regarding reassessment of how people are managed, should be managed, are led, should be led, motivated, and empowerment. So we have from one side the traditional model of managing and leading people. So if we go back, we can see that the leadership and management style was more control oriented, where the main focus was on the tasks, and command and control models were dominating, which are considered as increasingly inadequate as organizations nowadays adopt more digital collaboration tools and more flexible structures. The new leadership demand nowadays is to have more focus on employee autonomy, on employee self-efficacy, employee satisfaction, employee creativity and innovation. So we try to see how the new leadership style requirements within this digitized environment can help people to gain more empowerment and autonomy compared to the old leadership style, the control command-based leadership style, which can also use digital environment, but is empowerment and autonomy of employees really encouraged in this type of leadership, the command and control type of leadership. During the COVID-19 pandemic period exposed that leadership gaps in organizations were not really prepared to deal with the issues of employment, workplace, changes in the workplace environment. So what we saw that happened is that many managers and leaders tried to replace this physical presence of employees of the workplace through the using technology in a way which could replace this physical presence, following a kind of mismanagement of this use of technology, causing a lot of fatigue to people and distress, I could say, but also stress in terms of people's performance. However, organizations which had embraced more digital autonomy and more trust-based leadership practices experience more evidence of innovation, increased rates of employee satisfaction and retention. So the leadership in digital settings, it seems that must reconcile two key demands. It is to maintain productivity and accountability of people with fostering the autonomy and well-being of people. It's not just to be task-oriented, but to provide space for creativity and innovation. Which are the main research questions for this paper is how transformational leadership really influences employee autonomy and engagement in digital work environments. What are the comparative impacts of control-based and empowerment-based leadership approaches regarding team performance and productivity, and how digital collaboration tools can mediate leadership behaviors and increase employee experience, increase employee satisfaction, and employee empowerment. The main research objectives is to examine the effects of transformational leadership on digital autonomy and employee motivation, to analyze differences in team dynamics under contrasting leadership models, and to explore how leadership behaviors are shaped by the use of digitized tools and platforms, and also to propose a practical model for fostering this digital form of employee empowerment in hybrid teams. In terms of the research design for this work, it was applied a case study, comparative case study in the same organization. We chose two departments, Department A and Department B. Within an organization which is in the large professional service industry sector, where different leadership mode was applied in Department A and Department B, whereas in both departments, digital tools and digital work environment was applied. So the Department A followed a transformational leadership approach, while was used digital tools and created a digital environment. So because of the application of transformational leadership, it was found that there was increased trust, open communication, more creative outcomes, innovation, results-oriented management, let's say, was applied. In Department B, there was a dominant hierarchical supervision. The focus was mostly on tasks execution, monitoring practices, and there was a kind of digital oversight, but controlling behaviors, controlling performance, controlling tools and methods employees applied. Regarding the data collection methods, a semi-structured interview approach took place, where we had 24 interviews with managers and team members, specifically 12 members per department took place, exploring perceptions of leadership, issues, perceptions, approaches, perspectives of what is digital autonomy and what is considered as team effectiveness, team climate under the leadership dominant mode that applied for every department. The second part regarding the analysis of reports and documents which regarded performance matters. So there were developed internal performance dashboards, team feedback reports, digital communication policies also were reviewed, commended, and feedback was provided by the employees regarding the application of these digital communication tools. Also, the third source of data was pulse surveys, where there were some bi-weekly, let's say, employee surveys which regarded digital engagement, perceived matters of quality of collaborative teamwork, innovation, creativity metrics that applied to measure innovative and creative behavior and outcome. Regarding the data analysis approach, we followed a thematic analysis following Brown and Clark's 6-phase framework using Nivo 14 software, where 3 themes dominated. The theme 1 regarding leadership communication style and employee trust. Theme 2 regarded autonomy and accountability in digital workflows, and the theme 3 regarding the emotional climate and ability to adapt and the capacity of using digital skills in the department. Regarding the key theoretical frameworks that we used as a background for this study was the research which regards transformational leadership and leadership theory, where the key idea is that leaders inspire through their vision, intellectual simulation, through their own personal attitude and consideration, empathy, and understanding, fostering, encouraging, supporting intrinsic motivation, and higher engagement of employees. Also, we applied the self-determination theory, where the autonomy, the competence power, the relatedness of what is the person performs with what is the skills of the persons, were the key drivers for motivation and engagement in task execution and performance overall. And the third approach, the third theoretical framework regarding psychological safety, where when there is a shared belief that the team is working collaboratively, there is more tendency of interpersonal risk-taking, more safety, let's say, towards how we experiment, how we innovate, create, and learn. So the team collaborative spirit creates a positive environment of splitting risk, innovating more constructively. Regarding the digital work environment, the key challenges regard that there is always this kind of techno stress which the digital environment creates, considering this cognitive overload, and often the issues of connectivity, which often disengage or demotivates people, distracts people. So the techno stress is one challenge. The digital presentism and the culture, the always on, to use always the updated digital tools culture is another challenge, because there is a continuous modernization, let's say, update of technological digital tools. The other challenge is the loss of informal learning and spontaneous collaboration, creating, having an opportunity cost of not applying this informal learning and collaboration, which is not always scheduled, it's not always, a programmed type of collaboration, can take place just because of the different needs and different issues that arise from a project. And we know that there are also some kind of blurred issues regarding work-life boundaries. The opportunities is that in the digital work environment, there is an increased flexibility, increased autonomy, people to choose whatever they think it is important for their projects. It fosters access to information. The digital work environment helps enhance communication channels, and there is creates, let's say, a kind of borderless teamwork possibilities. Research shows that productivity gains occur only when digitization is matched with this employee upskilling, the team autonomy, creativity and innovation, but also with the type of leadership that takes place in the work environment, which use this digitization, let's say, application of tools. But there is an issue regarding control and empowerment. We know that there is the empowerment-oriented leadership and the control-based leadership, which is the control-based leadership fosters, supports more the kind of supervision. It's more task-oriented. It uses digital surveillance, but leads to kind of reduce creativity, creates disengagement, and often creates an environment of digital Taylorism, a kind of a slavery where people have to prove that they work, that they perform, that they are present, because just being connected, just being digital, does not always indicate that people really work. So it creates this digital Taylorism. There is on the other side, the empowerment-oriented leadership, where delegates the authority, promotes more self-directed work, encourages initiatives, encourages creativity, innovation, satisfaction, but also employee retention, employee satisfaction, which leads to employee retention. So empowerment is not does not mean when we say empower people that there is an absence of structure, but empowerment means the existence of flexibility, trust to employees that leaders can share the power that they have, inviting, welcoming people to be part of the decision making, be part of any innovative, creative project. So the empowerment creates the environment for clear goals, freedom, people to contribute in their own personalized ways. So we see, if we compare between control type of leadership and empowerment type of leadership, we see in the dark lines, which is the empowerment type of leadership, and the light blue lines, the control type leadership, that in all areas, autonomy, innovation, psychological safety, task completion, job satisfaction, in all these areas, the leadership, which fosters empowerment, autonomy, creates more, reaches higher rates in autonomy, in innovation, psychological safety, performance, task completion, and job satisfaction. So the control-based leadership in digitized type of work has less positive impact, I would say, in most cases, negative impact compared to the empowerment type of leadership when uses the digital work. So the digital work creates the circumstances for the leader to perform what the type of leadership is to give the space to people to create, innovate, and this is facilitated by the digital work environment, and the leadership also facilitates through the appropriate selection of digital tools this autonomy and innovation to take place. So we see that regarding the findings, employee autonomy and innovation, that in a scale out of 5, in the Department A, which was the transformational leadership in the digital work environment, we have 4.3, very high rate out of 5, the autonomy, where employees cited that there was a nice discretion over tasks, methods, a decision latitude, and there was a kind of schedule flexibility, which was assisted, facilitated by the digital environment. Whereas if we comparing the Department A, which had the transformational leadership, with the Department B, which had a control-based leadership, again with digital work environment, we see that the rate of autonomy is 2.7, almost 50%, 35-40% less than the one which is the transformational type of leadership. So we see that people in this digital work environment, but under control-based leadership, they commented that there was an overly prescriptive instructions, also very frequent micromanagement, overload, lack of trust of what people do, how people perform, how people use these digital tools. So the outcomes, the performance outcomes, especially the feelings of autonomy in this Department B, was less than it was in Department A, whereas the innovation index also has a difference. We see that in the Department A, where transformational leadership took place, in a scale out of 100, 88 is the outcome, which shows that the environment was very experimental, open to learning, friendly atmosphere to new ideas, new experiments, so people to self-realize themselves. Whereas in the control-based leadership, we see that the innovation is at the rate of 61. So people had some kind of fear regarding of experimenting new ideas, of coming to even to express, to share, to present their ideas. In terms of the psychological safety and trust, we see that in the Department A, in a scale out of 5, it is 4.1, the psychology of trust, whereas in Department B is 2.9 out of 5. So there was in Department A with the transformational leadership a culture of openness and leader support when the risks did not work out, whereas in the Department B with the control-based leadership was more a fear of whenever people raised something new, that they would kind of evaluate it, questioned, were regarding some, they had to prove themselves, like there was lack of trust. So I cite here two indicative
Excuse me,
sentences
Professor,
on the
we need to
department.
wind up.
Yeah.
Excuse me,
I
Professor.
don't need to be
Yeah.
told, yes, to dolt out. So we see also that the retention and job satisfaction rates were higher in Department A than Department B. The transformational leadership was enabler in the digital work environment to create this autonomy, to create this trust-based environment and psychological empowerment. And the a key issue is that the digital tools themselves, because both departments use similar technologies, but the Department A used the digitization tools to increase the transparency. This is very important, to encourage people's participation, to recognize the initiatives. So digital fluency, it was a behavioral modulation which helped create the circumstances people to perform high, to create. Whereas in the Department B, the tools, the digitized tools, were used to reinforce the performance of tasks, tracking, controlling, commanding, people. So it was more control-based. So digital platforms themselves are not neutral. They don't, by themselves, the digital tools create empowerment, but under the right type of leadership, transformational leadership can help the leader using these digitization tools to enable the autonomy and increase creativity. So transformational leadership fosters significantly more favorable outcomes across all dimensions of digital teams. Autonomy, competence, relatedness, are all these psychological needs which must be met for the individuals. Digital technologies facilitate this, respond to this, but with the right leadership, because by themselves only do not guarantee empowerment. The traditional control-based models were proved that they do not really fit to distributed, complicated, cognitively complicated world. So what are the strategic recommendations? It is that we have to end leadership empowerment in leadership development, trying to reframe training, prioritizing the emotional intelligence, coaching, mentorship techniques, feedback, literacy, so that to create this empowerment as part of the leadership development training, to align digital tools with empowerment, to design schedule developmental programs which fosters this psychological safety, and digital tools can contribute to a very high extent to create this psychological safety in an agile way, to foster a culture of risk-taking, remodeling learning from failure, from different lessons which come to regard calculated risks, to shift performance evaluation to outcomes, and to reward initiatives, to reward creativity, and to reward, acknowledge team contribution and collaboration, and to tailor approaches to digital readiness, which is another issue. Like, we have to consider that it is important to assess the team diversity in regarding the acquisition of digital skills, and what kind of technical support they need, because unfortunately in the workplace nowadays it is taken for granted that people themselves have to train to find ways to develop digital skills, whereas from within the company, training and support is of critical importance. So adapting empowerment to individual contexts and supporting employees to develop the right skills and update employees with what new skills are needed are of critical importance regarding the performance, the empowerment, but also, the team collaboration, and autonomy, creativity in this digitized environment. Thank you.